Hi, I'm Zubair and welcome to the Castoshi podcast. And today we're joined by Mark of Castoshi and by Aaron Payas of Hassans. So welcome, Aaron. How are you doing?
Good. First of all, thank you for having me.
Okay, could you tell us a little bit about your journey into crypto and just how you got here and where you are with crypto?
Yeah, absolutely. So my journey really started when I went off to university because my degree was in mathematics. So although I'm a lawyer now, my degree was in mathematics. I then converted into law before I did the bar and started working here at Hassans. But the degree in mathematics has been crucial in the work that I've been doing as a crypto lawyer, simply because the blockchain is pure mathematics. It's about programming, it's about code, it's about logic, and the background in mathematics gave me that intuition that allowed me to understand the technology very well, very quickly. Therefore allowed me to ask better questions, get better answers, and be able to provide better advice. So it's really been the backbone of my development as a crypto lawyer, I feel. And how we came into crypto, I started off in Hassans as a funds lawyer. And why funds? Because the managing partner here at Hassans identified that there's a lot of exposure to the financial markets. So with my background in mathematics, he thought it was a good fit. He was completely right. So another passion of mine is asset management. So I went straight into learning and learning how to be on developing to be a funds lawyer. Enrolled onto the Chartered Financial Analyst course because I needed to know what my clients were doing in a bit more depth. So that gave me another level of understanding, together with, as we said before, with the background in mathematics, and that really was without knowing. When crypto came along, primarily it became more mainstream when we had the ICO craze in 2017 particularly, and then we started getting a lot of work, a lot of inquiries coming our way. And my partner here in Hassans, Anthony Provasoli, was doing a lot of work in crypto already, and he called me up because a lot of the concepts that you would apply to funds, you can apply to ICOs, in terms of it's a collective investment, a pooling of assets, protection of investors, that type of thing, which it's more or less the same for an ICO. So that was how I got into the crypto space, and so that was 2017, and just fell in love with the new technology, fell in love with the fact that the law was unwritten. It's still very much unwritten in most places. So all of the work that we were doing we were just in uncharted territory. No precedents. No one really knew what the right answer was, and that was extremely challenging but rewarding at the same time. So that's how I got into crypto. So that was 2017, and then Gibraltar 2017 came up with the DLT regulatory framework, which was then brought into force by way of the financial services DLT providers regulations, and that came into force on the 1st of January 2018. So we've basically haven't looked back since. So that's my background into crypto.
It's quite interesting because you're kind of like a modern day adventurer, because firstly, you're in the right time in the right place. Secondly, you love something mathematics and crypto, and mathematics is something most people hate, So like when I first met you, I was totally mistaken. I just, I think I saw you at a conference and then you spoke and I was like, oh, wow, I've got this guy wrong. He's not just, like a pretty face. Yeah. And so I was really impressed, like, because you said something about when you use your crypto wallets and you go somewhere, you don't want the place that you sign in with to know what your account balance is. And I was like, oh, finally, someone said something smart, in the conference, and you said someone should make a wallet as a startup. Do you remember this part? And now you said there are some wallets doing that.
Absolutely. And since then, they must have been in development, but since then we've had a few. I'm aware of two projects. One is called the Worm. I think it's worm.io, XYZ, and the other one is delegate, if it's delegate.cash. And what they do is they have Worm, which was the one that I've been looking at more closely. What they do is, so you have your cold wallet, or you have your wallet where you've got your valuable NFTs or your valuable assets, but you open a wallet with Worm, and Worm interacts with your wallet. You connect it to your cold wallet via smart contract, and then you use the new Worm wallet to interact with different websites or whatever you need to do with your wallet, and the wallet will pick up whatever you have in your original in your cold wallet, so where your valuable stuff is. So you have a wallet where if you make any mistake with it, it cannot you cannot lose, or no one can misappropriate your assets in your original wallet, but it allows you to prove your ownership, which is very important in the NFT world. If you want to be part of a community, if you want to get access to a members club or to events, the NFT is your way in. But just the other day, I was asked to... Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, is it like a limited time thing where when you set it up, you say, can you show this proof for 8 hours? Is it like that?
So it's a really good question. You can do it both ways. So you can set it up so that it's indefinite, or you can set it up for a certain period of time. And even if you set it up indefinitely, you can pull it down. You can pull down the access whenever you want. But the main idea is that you don't need to expose your wallet with the valuable NFTs to any website. You delegate not the delegate, but you create this new wallet which picks up which NFTs you have in your original wallet, and that is what you connect. So it really is a bit of a game changer.
So is this somewhere this secondary wallet? You only have access to your primary wallet, and then the third party can only work with that second wallet.
Yeah, so it's just proving that you have the NFTs in the other wallet, in the original wallet. That's all that it's doing. So it's just putting a layer in between the smart contract where you need to prove your ownership and your original NFTs.
This could work on a ticketing level.
Yeah, absolutely. It works for any time that you need to prove ownership, then it works. Just the other day, I was asked if I wanted to have my Bored Ape Yacht Club NFT shown in a gallery in an event in New York. I said yes, but they asked me to fill in a form, and then they asked me to connect the wallet. So I said, I'm never connecting my wallet. The one with the NFT, I'm never going to connect it anywhere. So is there any other option? And he said, completely safe. Everyone is doing it, so nothing to worry about. And I didn't do it. A week later, I saw a tweet about this scam that was going from this same guy, that he was asking people with NFTs to connect their wallet. So it is as easy as that. You can just get or some Twitter account gets hacked. It approaches you. Let's say the Sotheby's account gets hacked, and Sotheby's asks you if you want to showcase your NFT in their gallery. Your first instinct is, yes, I really want to do that because that's going to give me a bit of exposure. But it is as easy as that. They'll wipe out your wallet pretty quick. So if you can use this, which was my point in the crypto conference, which Zubair alluded to earlier, if I use the Worm.xyz wallet, then even if it's a scam, it would never expose my NFTs. So that's why it's so good.
I think the problem is that when you connect to a smart contract with MetaMask or any wallet, you don't know what the smart contract code is behind it, and it's sometimes easy to change as well. So because you're really just connecting via the normal web to start with, and that can connect to anything. And even if you can see the smart contract code, how many people understand it? Hardly anyone.
No.
I mean, I know smart contract programming, and even I don't look at the contract code. I just would rather do nothing, like you said earlier.
Yeah, likewise.
Yeah.
So I've got a basic understanding, and still I wouldn't know what's a scam and what isn't. And these guys are getting better and better all the time as well. So
I'd like to move on to a couple of other things. So I know you mentioned them earlier. Firstly, like Gibraltar in crypto, what was special about when Gibraltar went into crypto. I mean, why did they do that at because they were way like 5 years ahead of other countries, and probably more because other countries still don't have regulation.
So we've been trying to move away from being what's considered an offshore jurisdiction or a tax haven, right? So we've been working past 25, 30 years to move away from that. So we try to have full compliance with international standards, whether that's OECD or FATF or whatever it is. Back in 2017, we were getting this wave of inquiries of ICOs, and that's to be expected, right? When someone wants to do something new, they'll if you're in the US or in the UK or in France or Germany, whatever it is, you will look to set up something quick and easy in a smaller jurisdiction. So Gibraltar, although we try to be fully compliant, there's still people that will test that and that will come and want to set up companies here in Gibraltar for whatever reason. So the problem was that with crypto being unregulated at the time, the people could essentially come here, set up a company, and do whatever they wanted through it, and that was of no benefit to Gibraltar, but it came with all of the reputational risk or potential reputational risk. So we had the decision to make whether we wanted to just stay that way, the same way that Cayman Islands and BVI and many other jurisdictions did for a long, long time, or do we want to do something about it, be ahead of the curve, and regulate the space in order to have that first mover advantage. So after consultation with the local players, it was the government and the regulator and the FSC that actually had the initiative to put in place the DLT regulatory framework, and that was incredibly good for a number of reasons. One, because it put us on the map straight away. There were projects that were saying, I want to be regulated because it's the way forward. It gives me credibility. It's coming anyway, whether it's next year or in 5 years, it's going to come. So I want to be regulated. Regulation has the cost of compliance, but it also has its benefits in terms of the comfort that you can give stakeholders, your ability to work with service providers, have a chance of opening a bank account, that sort of thing. So there were projects even back then that wanted to be regulated, and the fact that we had the government and the regulator leading this initiative, they put in place something and then went out to the industry and said, okay, here are the rules. Now go out and get work and bring business. If you compare that to probably every other country in the world, it's the complete opposite. You've got the people in the industry just banging their heads against brick walls when speaking to the regulator, speaking to government, trying to explain what crypto is, trying to get something, some laws, some clarity, and that's been the case in the UK. Now they've issued the consultation. In the EU, we'll probably see MiCA coming in, the pan-European regulation, probably next year. So we're talking about, if it comes in 2024, we had it 2018. We're talking about 6 years, which we've been able to steal a march on these jurisdictions. So that was Gibraltar's approach, and we've done it extremely well. And because if you then break it down, what does this give you really? It's what we call the 3 certainties. It's legal certainty, regulatory certainty, and even tax certainty. The fact that you identify and know what crypto is, you know how to treat it, means that then you know how to tax it as well. So it provides certainty across the board, and that is our main selling point. We are small, but we are well regulated, so we are flexible. It's a very personalized service. We have direct access to the regulator. We can speak to them and bring clients to speak to the regulator whenever we want.
Are you talking about Hassan specifically now?
No, Gibraltar. I'm talking about Gibraltar specifically. So that access that we have to the regulator is something that anyone has in the industry. If you have a client and you want them to meet the regulator, you email them. Most cases, within 2 weeks, you can have a meeting arranged. So That is not something that you get elsewhere. And that is incredibly valuable. Plus the fact that you know that you're setting up here and the rules are already written. So it's about complying and then being able to build on these solid foundations. If you set up something in the UK now, you might need to register with the FCA for AML compliance. But then at some point, the full license is going to come into play. So at some point, you need to get ready to apply for the new license. You don't know what that license is going to look like, so you don't know how it's going to affect your business model. That has always, for the past few years, been the benefit of Gibraltar. The fact that you know that you're coming to a place and the rules aren't going to change overnight. Of course, they will evolve. If there's new guidance issued by the FATF, for example, then our legislation as well will evolve. But that's completely different to having to make a complete U-turn.
Sorry, do you know if any of the other jurisdictions are talking to Gibraltar to how to set up their own regulatory framework?
Yeah, for sure. It was you hear less about it now, but at the beginning, the first few years, absolutely, everyone was looking into what Gibraltar was doing. And even more recently, I've had conversations. I had one conversation with the regulator in Saudi Arabia, and they were looking at which direction to go in with their crypto or virtual asset regulations. And they actually asked for a call with me just for me to explain how the law worked here in Gibraltar. So absolutely, we've been trailblazers in that respect as well.
Well, it'd be a shame to waste all the hard work that Gibraltar has done and share it with the world.
Yeah, for sure. And the funny thing is that the actual legislation isn't very complicated at all, because it's principles based rather than very prescriptive. Because in an industry that moves and changes so quickly, we all know the feeling, right? It seems that you switch off for 48 hours and you're months behind. So by not being prescriptive, by being principles based, it allows the legislation to remain relevant for a long time, rather than saying, being prescriptive, you need this, and this, and then new projects come along and they just won't fit in. So I think that is when jurisdictions come to speak to us, they either make the decision to go principles based as well, or they try to go more prescriptive, but that will always take longer.
When you say principles based, do you mean like maybe using things like the Howey test to see is something a security or not, or do you mean other principles?
No. So principles based in the sense that you have investor protection policies. You've got the segregation of client assets. You've got your disaster recovery. You've got your capitalization. You've got your resourcing, whether it's financial or personnel. Just your standard principles that you would expect in any other financial services license. And we were also the first movers last year to introduce. We had 9 principles. We introduced the 10th principle, which was looking at market integrity. So specifically tackling market manipulation in crypto markets, which was again very good, because if you look at the US, for example, they had a lot of cases that were market manipulation because they had manipulated crypto markets that were unregulated. It kind of fell out. There wasn't really an offense in law, so they used to catch them with other things, like with wire fraud or other offenses. But really, the main thing was the market manipulation element. So we've ingrained that into our law by having another principle to cover that.
On a personal level, Aaron, if you've got a potential client coming up to you and you have a quick chat, a quick look at what they're up to or what they plan on doing, do you get a gut reaction straight away?
Yeah, for sure. I think that's always the case. You've got that, call it the vibe check at the beginning, and that is something which happens when we lawyers sometimes, or in many cases, act as the first line of defense of who's coming into the jurisdiction. But even if we get comfortable when we apply for a DLT license, for example, we always have a pre-application meeting with the regulator where we give them some information, and then we have a chat, and the client gets to meet the regulator gets to meet the client. And there again, it's kind of a bit of a vibe check as well with respect to before getting into the nitty-gritty of the process, like what is that relationship already feeling like, which is very important. But what I would say there is that because we are regulated and because the laws are so clear, I think we've filtered out a lot of the bad actors in the space. Generally, although you need to be careful, it's not always the case, but generally, if you want to do something quick and easy, you won't come to a place like Gibraltar. You can go elsewhere, right? You can set something up in, I don't know, one of the unregulated Caribbean islands or whatever it is, without trying not to criticize anyone. But it's just it puts you in a place where it protects you from that type of activity as well, which was the intention at the beginning, as I said before.
Okay, and can I ask specifically about Hassans? So if I'm a crypto guy and I'm from, say, the UK, and I'm thinking about Gibraltar, what services do you offer for them?
Yeah, so I think we provide a very holistic service. We are big enough to do that as well, which is what I like about Hassans. The fact that we are big enough that we can have specialist departments. So with all of the work coming into crypto, apart from my specialism or my expertise in funds law, I've now created that, or developed that in crypto or in Web3, whatever you want to call it. So that means that 95% of my time is dedicated to crypto, following crypto, researching, learning, working on projects. Because again, I always say, that's what I'm grateful for, is we've been lucky enough to have so much work that whatever we learn when we research, we've been able to put into practice, because it doesn't matter how much. It's like the analogy is when you learn to drive a car, right? You can do as much learning as you want, but really when you start becoming a real driver is when you get your license and experience and go off by yourself. So we've done all the research, we've done all the following with what's happening in the industry, but we've had a lot of clients and different projects that we've had to deal with. So by dealing with real projects, real people, and real problems, that's when you really learn, and that's where you develop the expertise and the specialist skills. And so what Hassans gives you is, you've got a department. We are 8 or 9 strong, including 3 or 4 partners that are focused on crypto, which means that if there's a tax question, we'll bring in the tax partner. Or if there's something which requires a very well drafted shareholders agreement, we'll bring in someone from the corporate and commercial team that does this on a daily basis. And that's how we try to provide full suite of services to anyone who comes here, right? If as well someone wants to move over to Gibraltar to become tax resident here, saying, well, I'll coordinate it, but I won't do that work. I'll bring in someone who does that on a daily or on a weekly basis. So that's really the benefit of Hassans, right? We've got a team here, the corporate and commercial team, which is as big as the next biggest law firm in Gibraltar. So just puts into context the size. We have an affiliated company management fiduciary firm called Line Group, or it's a whole group. And between us, we employ almost 250 people, which is, again, almost 1% of the population of Gibraltar. So we're fairly big, and we're very proud of it as well, I must say. But it's because of our persistence on providing world-class service. Even if it's from little Gibraltar, it's a completely international outlook, and try to be there as front runners, especially in a space like crypto. It's not easy, but it's if you put it in the work, it's easier to be up there, because it's still so new.
Can I ask you one final question now? What do you think about the future of crypto and where it's going?
I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's just going to go from strength to strength. But we had a very rough 2022 with a lot of companies imploding or collapsing. It seems that there are rumblings that there's issues with Silvergate Silvergate and Signature Bank in the US, which are very, very big, very, very important banks that are receptive to crypto businesses. And also the noise around Binance isn't going away, which is troubling, because we had Binance and FTX leading the way for a long time. FTX collapsed, and now if Binance collapses, then it's going to be a very, very, very big deal. So hopefully that isn't the case. The uncertainty is still there. People are still aware. But at the same time, what's clear is that the technology is working as it should. So the FTX collapse had nothing to do with the technology. The Celsius collapse had nothing to do with the technology. And that's why we're still here. So as long as the technology keeps on working well and we keep developing it and new projects come along, new blockchains, new networks, new protocols, I think crypto will only increase in its in its impact and influence. And where is it going to take us next? I'm not sure. I think is that it's the same as when you use, I don't know, your app on your banking app on your phone. You use it, it's really easy to use. You don't really understand the technology behind it, and you don't even want to know. Like, you don't care what the code is behind it. And I think what's going to happen in the next few years is that the technology itself will have a lesser role to play, at least in the media or in the minds of people. And what we're going to see is use cases and applications and good user experiences, good user interfaces. So we'll get to a point where we're working with or using really, really good apps, and whether they are blockchain based or not, we won't even know, or we won't even care, because what we want is to use these new apps. So that's where I think it's going to get to. I think blockchain will play a major role. Distributed ledger technologies, because it's not all of them are blockchains. There's different types of achieving more or less the same thing. The achieving decentralization. So I think that's where we'll probably get to. We'll get to a point where the technology is there. It's being used by a lot of applications, but we won't even know. And that goes for gaming as well. I think gaming, blockchain-based games are going to be as well very, 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 very popular in the future.
I totally agree, and I think anyone who's been into the crypto scene for a number of years has seen the ups and downs. But I think everyone really wants to see the utility of it in real life case. And it's interesting, with the gaming side of things. I think they're missing out, and hopefully they're really looking into that.
There are people developing a lot of gaming crypto projects. Actually, they're starting to.
Well, I'm talking about, with Gibraltar here and the gaming side that we have. I think there's just a massive opportunity for some big players to have a good look at it and utilize what they can.
Oh, when you say gaming,
I was talking about more
gambling.
I was talking more about video games.
I was talking about video games.
I'm thinking more gambling.
I was talking about video games, but with gambling and gaming as well, it's going to play a major role, because it does give you that transparency as well, which is very important. You do a lottery and you want to know that it's always going to be a fair lottery, for example. So there are a lot of blockchain-based casinos being set up, but they are being set up, as far as I'm aware, in these unregulated jurisdictions, because it's just so easy to set them up. And as far as I'm aware, they're doing really well, which is problematic in itself.
I think there's billions going through these unregulated casinos, and that's why I'd like to see a big player take over and say, look, we are genuine. We're not going to disappear after 18 months with your money.
Okay, so I think that's all the questions we've got for today. I think the two things. One, is there anything you'd like to plug or add, Aaron? And once we've done that, for the sake of our audio listeners, could you tell us where to find yourself and Hassan?
I don't think there's anything to add. I think as we've been saying, the industry is so new that we need more and more people to get involved. And sometimes it's a bit overwhelming to try and get involved into a completely new space, or you feel it's too late in the game and you're just going to be lagging. But I think anyone who's listening to this podcast is already either in the industry or thinking about joining. And I think they should just reach out to any of us, get themselves in the mix, start learning, ask for advice on how to learn more the quickest way as well. What's the best way, the quickest way to learn and get up to speed. So I would say just get involved in any way. I don't think getting involved means buying these alternative coins and just hoping to make a lot of money out of them. I don't think that's the way to get into crypto, because you're probably just going to get burnt, and then it's only going to be a bad experience for you. But I think getting to know the industry, there's many job opportunities as well. I've got a couple of friends of mine which I'm trying to lure them away from their current occupations to move into, for example, a compliance role. We've got very good courses here in Gibraltar, a very good association of compliance officers. That you can start off with a good compliance course, expand from there. And we all know compliance officers are in very high demand globally in any industry, but even more so in crypto. So I would say anyone interested, just reach out to me or to any of you, and just get their crypto journey started.
Okay. And just for the sake of the audio-only listeners, could you just spell out how to find Hassans on the web?
Yes, so it's gibraltarlaw.com, and on Twitter it's at gibraltarlaw.
Okay, great.
And for myself on Twitter it's at Aaron Payas, which is spelled AaronPayas.
Okay, that's fantastic. Thanks for your time today, and I hope to catch up soon.
Yeah,
thanks, Mark,
for sure.
Well.
No,
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, and thank you for talking.
Absolutely. Looking forward to more of your podcast.